Greetings and welcome to Teaching Tips and Thoughts. In this video, I'm just going to do a quick overview of my virtual class and show a little bit about how I have that set up. So what I'm going to do is tour through the class. We'll look at a sample lesson in D2L, the LMS that I'm using, and I'll discuss how I organize the class. I'll also note that my class is continually modified. I experiment to see what's working best for both the students and for myself so that I can adjust the class constantly. So very rarely do I teach exactly the same class 2 semesters in a row. So let's go ahead and take a look at the class itself here. So we'll jump into D2L here. And I'll show you my template class. So here we see the opening page, and some of the things that I do is that I have a banner across the front that shows what lesson we're working on. So students never have a question as to what lesson we are in for the class. I can post announcements too, but that's one good way to start. In order to access the class, the best thing I tell the students to do is just to use the content browser. So click on the content module here, and that will take you into the class. And let's just take a look at how things are set up here. I have an introduction area which has a lot of basic information for the students. I have a practice lesson that they can use before the class starts. But let's take a look at how one of the lessons is set up. And what I do is I divide it into 3 sections, and every lesson is exactly the same. We'll have lecture materials, we'll have a link for discussions, and we'll have a section for assignments. And each of these is a folder within the module. So there's a lesson section for lecture materials, which links out to the textbook, lecture slides, and video lectures. We will also see links for discussions, which will may have a graded discussion. We'll also have class announcements and class questions discussions, all linked to directly. And then I have the assignments set up here. So what are the assignments do? Well, I give reminders for a semester long assignment that I put in each lesson as reminders. And I give, in this case, they have a lab and they have an optional extra credit assignment that they can do as well for this first lesson. Then at the end of each lesson, what I do is give a checklist, which simply says, here's all the stuff that you should have done this week. And you can check off that you did it. Or if you couldn't do something for some reason, if you chose to skip an extra credit assignment, you can simply mark that off to be able to move on to the next lesson. So that allows the students and gives me the confidence that I know that the students have seen everything that is assigned each time. So we can take a quick look at that checklist here. If we click on the checklist, it tells them that for lesson 1, here's what you should have done. You should have read the chapters. You should have watched the lecture videos. You should have completed the lab and the discussion. And you had some extra credit opportunities and some reminders here of things that are upcoming due in future lessons. So these are examples where the assignment was not due yet, but they could get a start on it. So that is just a very quick showing of how I set up things within the class. I try to keep the organization consistent so that if the student wants to go to lesson 2, they're going to see exactly the same structure. They're going to see the lecture materials, the discussions, and the assignments. Now assignments may vary from class to class and from lesson to lesson, but there's no reason they have to go searching for anything to be able to access any of the class materials. Everything is always right there for them. And what I really tell my students is that really to access the class, you just need these 2 buttons on the navigation bar. You need to be able to access the content, and you may want to be able to access your grades. Other ones may be useful, but you really don't need to use them to complete the class successfully. So that concludes this discussion on an overview of my online class. And I'll be back again next time for another one of my teaching tips and thoughts. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next time.